This is the last Bob report of the year because we do not have an Alliance rally in December. So we're going to talk about the game plan for 2024. And it's probably the most exciting game plan that I've ever been thinking about because we know what's coming. More than any other time in history in the market cycle, we know what is coming, and I know exactly how to play it. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about an event coming up on November 17th. Put it in your calendars, okay? This is going to be called the Bulletproof Real Estate Agent Commercial Edition. Yeah. Okay? Commercial basics for residential agents. Okay? Why am I doing this class? Because I know what's coming. I know it's coming. Here's what you're going to learn in this class. It's November 17th. I'm going to give you the link in a minute. Okay? Here's what you're going to leave with. Number one is a better understanding of the most common terms used in commercial real estate. I'm going to get you comfortable with the language. Yep. The problem is we make things more difficult than they need to be. A lot of this stuff is exactly the same. Maybe it's called something a little bit different, but I'm going to get you comfortable with that. Number two is you will learn the formulas used in valuing commercial property, the actual numbers, the math, when working with buyers or sellers. Okay? And the most important thing is I want you to leave there with the confidence you need to say yes to commercial opportunities. Because I know what's coming. Real estate's a beautiful thing, right? It's not like the stock market. Stock market, you open up the pages today and they'll say, it dropped 500 points, and you have no idea what happened. Real estate moves slower than that, and there's indicators. And we know what's coming. All right? So commercial is going to be a huge opportunity coming up. If there's any crash that's coming, the experts are predicting it's going to be one in commercial. And you might think, how is that good? A lot of people got to sell. A lot of banks going to take properties back. I need you guys to be prepared to crush it. So take down a picture of this slide. Make sure you register. But here's the deal. This is a free event. Okay? All I ask is one thing. Bring somebody. Number two is don't sign up unless you're committed. You're either interested or you're committed. I want committed. If you register, it gets scheduled, and whatever gets scheduled gets done. Okay? So here's why I talk about I know it's coming. This is one of my favorite quotes from Tony Robbins. He says, remember this, anticipation is the ultimate power. Losers react, leaders anticipate. I like the word anticipate because it shows to me that you know what's coming, but you're preparing for what's coming. Okay? The thing is, we're already in the game. It's already happening. Okay? So I've been reading this book lately called $1 Trillion Coach. So people have been telling me, like, Bobby, you should coach. I am coaching, but like, I don't know, the title of this book just brought me in. I was like, $1 Trillion Coach. I was like, that's a big claim. But most of you guys know I go by, Coach Bobby franchise, and I have a very sports-related, football-related theme because I played 9 years of football, and I really think there's such a connection between that sport and life. And here's this guy, Bill Campbell, who was a football coach who turned to be a coach for Silicon Valley. He had no tech experience, but he coached Steve Jobs. He coached the guys who started Google and a bunch of other people. So it started to inspire me. He's like, man, maybe in 2024, I need to go really heavy into this coaching brand and go heavy into the sports brand. And another guy that's been inspiring me lately is this guy. Have anybody been seeing this guy?
Hey, my God. Florida State.
If anybody is combining personal development and football better, there's nobody better than Deion Sanders right now. What do we call this guy?
Coach Prime.
Coach Prime. So here's what I'm thinking for 2024. I'm going heavy in the coach franchise in 2024. Because listen, we need somebody who understands what needs to happen right now in the game. Okay? Because we're in a very special time in the game. Special things happen during this time if you understand and know what's coming. So I was at church this Sunday, and I got to thank Uncle Mike for inviting us to a live church. So anybody ever wants to go to church on Sunday, come to a live church on Sunday. We have a great group in there, right? But I was actually in Mexico, but I was watching the sermon. And this is Pastor Ken. And Pastor Ken does something really cool. He comes up with a word for the following year. Like, what's going to be our word for the year, this coming 2024? And he found the word that I've been looking for. Because I've been saying to you guys, we're going to triple. We're going to triple in size. You're going to triple your business. Things are going to happen. There's going to be some magical stuff happening in the next 12, 24, maybe we might even have a 36-month run. of this, but only if you're prepared for what's coming, if you have the right mindset for what's coming. Here's the word for the congregation for the next year, and it's multiplication. Everything you do, especially positively, will multiply during this time. Your effort will be multiplied. Your success will be multiplied. Because for a lot of people, it's not going to be going like that. And they're not prepared. They don't have the mindsets of the people in this office, from the new agents to the people on that wall. If you think about this right, and trust me, I've been through it. That's the thing, guys. I was in the last market crash. I was in real estate. I didn't see it. Nobody told me about it. And if a couple people mentioned it, I was like, psh, I was 27 years old and nothing ever changes, right? But this is a very, very special time. But here's the thing. You won't be able to multiply all the things you want to multiply unless first you make a decision. It's decision time. We're at a crossroads. And I'm not just hyping this up. We are at a crossroads where you're going to have to decide whether you want to fight or you want to sit this one out. If you're going to be a sideline player or you're going to be a franchise player. Okay? That's the decision you're going to make. And a lot of people have already made it. I have numbers. I know how many people are in my organization. Since this championship started, there's probably been 300 already gone in my organization. They weren't ready for the fight, and that's okay. That's okay. You'll see why in a little bit. So first, make a decision that you're going to stay in the fight. Who wants to be? Raise your hand if you want to be a franchise player.
Am.
Fantastic. Here's the second thing you want to do, and this was taught at the last Bulletproof event. And it's funny because I'm always very forward-looking. You know, I'm like, what we're going to accomplish in the future, what we're going to accomplish in the future, right? And if you went to this event, you realize that sometimes you have to look at your past in order to get to your future. This is what I mean by that. There's stories in our childhood that we created. There's patterns, there's beliefs from events that happen. What I love about what Mark Tassoni said, these were emotional events. Because somebody stood up, I think it was Jessica, said, you know, I don't really feel like I have a lot of trauma in my life. And I've felt that way too. You ever been in a room and be like, I'm not going to share my story because, you know, they went through some real stuff and I didn't. But Mark Tassoni said it just has to be an emotional event. In other words, there's a lot of things in your childhood that happen. And if you look at your 7-year-old self, you could have made a story that you weren't worth it, that you weren't loved, that people didn't care about you, that you didn't deserve good things. And then, guess what? When you grow old, those things run your entire life. And you guys, either you've dealt with this, because I have, or you know people that you're like, why do they keep self-sabotaging? They're almost out. They're almost to their greatness, and then they find a way to just throw a grenade in the whole thing and implode it. So you gotta rewire. I love this term. All you have to do is rewire. You have to look at your young self and say, hey, those things weren't actually true. You were just 7 years old and you didn't know how to process that. But now you forgive that, you let it go, you put some love on it, and you can rewire and have a new story. So unless you do the decision and the rewire, what I'm about to tell you is not going to do much for you. Okay, so here's a special time that we're coming in the game. And here's the thing you have to know is you can't take your old thoughts into this new game. That's why you have to rewire. You can't take your old thoughts into this new game. You have to rewire. Because here's the deal. You're going to run a different type of strategy during this time in the game. This says no huddle, no mercy. What this is talking about is actually a football strategy, right? That many of you have seen. And even if you're not a football fan, I hope you're watching football a little different after this talk, right? So there's often a time in the game when the pressure is on. When the chips are down, you're losing, and time is running out. And basically the coach says, hey, listen, we don't have time to think too much. We just got to act right now. We don't have time to huddle up and talk. The clock is ticking. So we don't have time to, this big strategy. What we need right now is action. We need to move. That's why they say no huddle, no mercy. And the strategy is called the hurry up offense. Mm-hmm. Guys, 2024, the strategy is hurry up offense. What does that mean? We're on a pace. We don't got time to just, hey, let's just wait around and get the perfect strategy. There's none of that. Because action will win during this time, and people will be attracted to that action. Think about this. You look at this office and energy in this room right now. You don't think when the lights start going dim for some and they start looking for the light, that they're going to come here? Yep. I know I would, at least the people that are staying in the game. So here's the things that kind of describe what this time will be like. One, there's a time pressure. You're going to feel some time pressure, just like you would in a hurry-up offense when you're trying to win the game. Why? Because we have a small window. We don't know how much the window is going to last, right? This environment of volatility and change and high interest rates, it's an opportunity, and we don't know how much it's going to last, but it could last 12 months. It could last 36 months. But guess what? Things will multiply during this time. I was around last time this happened, and I saw people get wealthier than they'd ever gotten. I saw people build their businesses better than they ever gotten. Why? Because they knew they were in a special time. They had to do a little bit more, but they knew that they had this window where everybody was falling out of the game, and there was all this business to be had because people were just leaving it. They're turning in their keys and they're walking away. Okay? The next thing you're going to feel is the whatever it takes attitude. A hurry-up offense, you don't got time to be like, oh, maybe we'll get a yard or two. Hey, you got to drive that ball downfield and we got to score. Scoring is the only thing you need to think about right now. Elevating, putting points on the board, getting market share, get more listings than everybody else. What'd you hear Mike say? What year? It's your best year. Yeah. And guess what? He ain't alone. It's Corinne's best year. How does that happen? How is there a tale of two cities? It's somebody understands the strategy to play during this time. You have to have a whatever it takes attitude. Just do it. Say yes, yes, yes. And finally, you have to have a winner's pace. Okay? You're never going to see a hurry-up offense with no hurry-up. You're in a winner's pace. Let's go. If you knew, like I wake up, they're going thing, moving here, meeting here, and just push, especially now when it's going into the holidays. You want to build confidence? Do more than everybody else does when everybody's trying to rest.
Say that again, please. Please say
You
that
want to
again.
build confidence, do more than what everybody's doing when everybody else is trying to rest.
Yeah, let them rest.
Let them rest. Guys, it's only going to last for a little while. We're in the hurry-up offense. Don't worry. We're going to get back to the point where it's going to be a lot different. But this is where the business is built, a winner's pace. And this is why. Because there's going to be so much multiplication that if you're not on a winner's pace, you won't be able to get it. You won't be able to multiply, right? This is a Bible verse, one of my favorite and one of the hardest ones. It says, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a bandit, and scarcity like an armed man. Whew, that's hard. Oh, it'll come upon you, especially during the time of multiplication, because it could multiply the other way too, couldn't it? So here's the deal. One of the most important things during this time is the team that's with you. People are going to gravitate towards this. Especially, it's going to multiply how people will be seeking the energy, the mindset, the coaching, the skill set that we build here. Because here's the thing. If you can accomplish your dream alone, then your dream is not big enough. I want you to start looking around this culture and seeing who you need to partner up with, who you need to get with, who you need to learn from. We're not going to be able to do the multiplication alone. We're going to do this thing together. So here's the thing. On the other side of this special time in our economy and the cycle, there's a really, really big treasure. And I love this story that Tony Robbins says about a guy who actually thought that there was this buried gold. He had one of those old maps, and he's like, oh, I'm going to go on this expedition and this voyage to find this. I mean, it was like hundreds of millions of dollars in gold. And he had these old school maps, and he spent years and years and years searching for it, raising money. So imagine you invested like $10 million to help this guy find this treasure. And 5 years in, he's got nothing. And he says, I need another 5 years and another 5. And during that 16-year mission, his son actually dies on one of the expeditions. But he continues to go. And here's what Tony Robbins said. He said, in order to get that treasure, you have to believe 3 things. Number 1 is that the treasure is out there. You got to first believe that the treasure is out there. Number 2 thing you got to believe is that you're going to find it. And this one of the most important thing is that it's going to be worth it. And guess what? What are the number 1, 2, and 3? What does that take? What does that take?
It's okay.
Faith is going to be the ultimate filter during this time. It's going to be faith. Because here's what's going to happen. People are going to run scared. People are not going to put the work in. People are not going to know what's going on. But that's okay, because those 300 people I lost, they're not in the faith camp. This is the weed out system. Who has the most faith? And you know what's cool is, that means you're going to have the best kind of players on your squad. Because if anybody's fighting during this time, if anybody's winning during this time, that means they're of ultimate faith, because it's going to be the hardest time to believe. And here's the thing. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be easy, but I promise you it's going to be worth it. I'll see you on the other side.
Let's go!